You wake up early, just as the first light of the morning creeps through your curtains. It's 6:30 a.m., the sun barely peeking over the horizon, and the city outside your window is already buzzing with life. But inside, it's as though time is standing still. The stillness of your apartment feels almost oppressive, like something is off, but you can't put your finger on it. It's a feeling you've been carrying for a while now, this gnawing sense that you're out of place, like you're surrounded by people but still utterly alone. No matter how many people you meet, how many conversations you start, it never feels real, never feels fulfilling. You're doing what everyone else is doing, but it doesn't feel like your life. You try to tell yourself it's just a phase, just a bad day, just a little loneliness that will pass. But it never does. It's like a dull ache in your chest that you can't shake. You find yourself watching others, your co-workers, your friends, even strangers on the street, and you wonder, how do they seem to have it all figured out? Why does everything seem to flow for them while I'm stuck here, feeling like I don't belong? Every day you wake up, you go through the motions, pretending to be like everyone else. But deep down, you know you're not. You've tried fitting in, tried being like them, tried doing what they do. But it's as if there's a part of you that doesn't belong here, that doesn't belong in this life. You've wondered for so long what it is, what's wrong with you? But every answer just feels incomplete. Your job is fine, your apartment is comfortable, you even have a handful of friends. But there's this emptiness, this quiet voice inside you that tells you there's something more you're supposed to do, something more you're supposed to be. And every time you try to ignore it, it only grows louder.
You pull yourself out of bed and go through the motions of getting ready for the day. You've been living like this for years, waking up, going through the motions, pretending to be okay when inside you're not. But today, something feels different. There's a heaviness in the air, something you can't quite explain. You stand in front of the mirror, looking at yourself, wondering what happened to the person you used to be. Where did that spark go, that fire? You realize you've been going through life pretending to be someone you're not. And that's when it hits you. Maybe, just maybe, it's not you. It's everything else. You've been trying to fit into a world that doesn't understand you, and for the first time, you hear it, loud and clear. You've been pulled away from the crowd for a reason. You're not just here by accident. You're not here to fit in. God has been preparing you for something bigger, something greater. You don't understand it yet, but you feel it, this nagging truth that refuses to leave you. You're not like everyone else. You've always known this deep inside, but now it's becoming clear. The loneliness, the isolation, it's not random, it's not punishment, it's purpose. And as you stand there, in the quiet of your apartment, you realize that you've been set apart for something bigger than you can imagine. Your purpose is out there waiting for you. And for the first time, you feel a sense of peace, as if everything you've been through, the pain, the loneliness, the isolation, has all led to this moment. You've been chosen. And God has pulled you away from the crowd because He has something amazing in store for you. Something that can only happen when you stop blending in and start stepping into the purpose you were always meant to fulfill. You're not alone because you're abandoned. You're alone because you're being prepared. And now, it's time to step into your destiny. The road ahead may be uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, you feel ready. As days drift into weeks, you start to feel a shift inside you. A subtle change that you can't explain, but that becomes impossible to ignore. The weight of your previous realization, that God has pulled you away from the crowd, isn't something you can easily forget. At first, it feels strange, even unsettling,
like a new kind of loneliness that you can't quite grasp. But slowly, you begin to embrace it. The more time you spend reflecting, the more you begin to understand that this isolation is not an accident. It's not punishment. It's divine insulation. You've been set apart for a reason. In the past, you would have resisted this shift, fought against it, even tried to prove to yourself and others that you didn't need this solitude. But now, the more you listen to the whispers in your heart, the more you realize that this is exactly what you need. The distractions that once filled your life, people, places, activities, all seem to fade into the background. The things that once occupied your mind and heart now feel so distant, as if they never truly mattered. You've been living for so long with your focus outward, trying to connect with people, trying to meet their expectations, trying to find meaning in places that never truly resonated with your soul. But now, the noise of the world doesn't seem as loud. It's almost as if your spirit has been recalibrated, tuning into a higher frequency that's not tied to the chaos and busyness around you. You feel more at peace in the quiet. It's as if you've been waiting for this stillness for so long, even though you didn't know it. At first, the quiet felt like a void, a hollow space that needed to be filled. You missed the noise, the bustle of daily life. You missed the social gatherings, the constant chatter that kept you distracted. But slowly, over time, the silence becomes a comfort. It becomes a space for you to truly connect with yourself and with God. And as you settle into this new rhythm, you start to see the world differently. The things that used to matter no longer seem important. The need to impress people, to gain their approval, fades away. The idea of fitting in, of meeting the expectations of others, begins to feel irrelevant. You've been so focused on the outside world that you forgot to check in with the most important part of your life, your relationship with God. And now, in the quiet, you realize how much you've been neglecting that connection. The distractions that kept you from hearing God's voice become clearer. You start to understand that all of this, your separation from the crowd, your isolation, has been part of His plan. It wasn't a mistake, it was necessary. He needed to pull you away from the noise so that you could hear Him. You've always sensed that you were meant for something greater, something beyond the ordinary. And now, for the first time, you realize that this loneliness isn't something to fear. It's a gift. God has set you apart to prepare you for a purpose bigger than you can imagine. It's as though He's been gently guiding you all along, but you've been too distracted to notice. He's been preparing you for the next chapter of your life. But first, you needed to get still enough to hear His voice, to understand what He's been saying to you. You begin to feel that the people in your life, the ones you've tried so hard to connect with, are no longer the focal point. It's not that you don't care for them, but you start to realize that they aren't the ones who will help you fulfill your true purpose. Your purpose is something deeper, something that only God can reveal to you. The more you trust this process, the more you feel a shift within yourself. You feel a sense of clarity, a sense of peace that you've never experienced before. It's as if the veil has been lifted, and for the first time in a long time, you see things clearly. You're no longer chasing after validation from others. You're no longer worried about fitting in. You've realized that your true purpose can only be fulfilled by walking the path God has set before you, not the one everyone else expects you to walk. And as you lean into this new understanding, you begin to see how God has been preparing you for this moment all along. You start to recognize the ways He has been speaking to you, the subtle signs that you may have missed in the past. The people, the situations, even the hardships you've faced, they were all part of a greater plan. God needed you to experience this time of separation, of silence, to strengthen your relationship with Him, to build your trust, and to prepare you for what's coming next. The pull you've been feeling, the urge to step back, was never about you being abandoned. It was about you being protected, being preserved for a purpose. And as you sit in this newfound peace, you realize that the isolation was never meant to punish you. It was meant to refine you, to shape you into the person you were always meant to be. You're no longer just existing. You're preparing for something greater. And for the first time, you feel ready. The loneliness, once a heavy burden, now feels like the key to unlocking your true self. The path ahead may still be unclear, but you know deep in your heart that God is leading you. You are being prepared, and you are no longer afraid. You are beginning to understand that the quiet is not emptiness. It is fullness. It is a divine preparation. And as you sit in this space of solitude, you realize that it is here, in this stillness, that your true purpose will be revealed. You have been pulled away for a reason, and that reason is starting to become clearer with every passing day. You are not abandoned. You are chosen. It happens when you least expect it. An unmistakable sign, an undeniable moment of clarity that shakes you to your core. You've spent so much of your life running from the feeling that something is missing, avoiding the reality that you've been called for a purpose bigger than anything you could have imagined. But now, in the stillness of your isolation, God speaks. It's not a voice from the heavens, not an audible sound that fills your ears, but a knowing that settles deep within you. You feel it in your bones, a shift in the air around you, a whisper that's impossible to ignore. You've been asking yourself for months, why am I here? Why do I feel so disconnected from everything? And then, as if the clouds part and the light breaks through, the answer comes. You're not meant to blend in. I've pulled you out for a reason. The words seem simple, but they hit with the force of a thunderclap, reverberating through every part of you. The weight you've been carrying, the loneliness, the confusion, the questions, begins to lift. And for the first time, you feel a deep sense of peace. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't some random twist of fate. All those moments of frustration, those nights spent staring at the ceiling wondering why nothing felt right, they were all leading to this moment of clarity. You've been chosen. Chosen for something far greater than you could have imagined. At first, you don't fully understand what it means. It's almost overwhelming. This sudden knowledge that your life has a purpose you've been blind to for so long. But as the days pass, you start to realize that the emptiness you've been feeling wasn't a mistake. It was part of the process. God has been preparing you all along, pulling you away from the noise, away from the distractions, so you could hear His voice. You've been pulled away from the crowd, not because you're alone, but because you're being set apart for something greater. You may have felt abandoned, like everyone else was moving forward while you were left behind. But it was never about being left behind. It was about being set aside to be refined. The purpose you're meant to fulfill requires focus, dedication, and the kind of clarity that only comes when you step back and listen. You've always felt this deep knowing inside you, a stirring that has been with you for as long as you can remember. It's the sense that you were never meant to fit in, that you were born to stand out. But the problem is, you've been trying so hard to be like everyone else that you've been suffocating that part of you. You've been pushing down the very thing that makes you unique, trying to conform to the world around you. And now, God is asking you to stop pretending, to stop blending in, and to start embracing who you truly are. This realization is both freeing and terrifying. You've been living a lie, not because you meant to, but because you've been too afraid to be different. But now, you know you can't keep living this way. You can't keep ignoring the call that's been there all along. You're being asked to step into your purpose. And that means letting go of everything that has held you back. The people around you, the relationships that once felt safe but are now draining, the habits that have kept you stuck in the same place, these things need to go. You can't continue to move forward with them in tow. And as scary as it is, you start to see that you don't need them. This is your journey, your time to step into what God has prepared you for. But there's still resistance. You want to believe, want to trust, but the fear creeps in. What if you're wrong? What if this path leads to more loneliness? What if you lose everything? But deep down, you know the answer.
You know that everything you've been through has been leading you to this very moment. The pain, the betrayal, the loneliness. It was all part of your training. It's not easy to accept, but you realize that God has been with you every step of the way. He's never left you, even in the darkest moments. He's been waiting for you to hear His voice, to understand that your purpose is greater than anything you've known. And as you sit with this realization, you feel the weight of your past begin to loosen. The chains that once held you in place, the confusion that clouded your vision, start to fall away. It's not instant, and it's not easy, but it's happening. You are being transformed. Your eyes begin to open, and for the first time you see a glimpse of what lies ahead. You're no longer just existing, you're living with purpose. The road ahead may not be easy. You may face challenges, doubts, and fears that try to pull you back into the crowd, back into the life you've been trying to escape. But you know now that you are not alone. You were never meant to walk this path by yourself. God is guiding you, and He's pulling you out of the crowd because He has a purpose for you that is too great to be contained in the life you once lived. You may be alone right now, but you're not abandoned. You are being prepared, and the more you trust this process, the more you will see that every step, every moment of solitude, every moment of doubt has led you here to your purpose. This is just the beginning. The real work is about to start, and you are ready. The fear that once held you back is no longer in control. You are stepping into the life you were always meant to live. And with that, you begin to walk forward, into the unknown. But this time, you're not afraid. You know that God is with you, and that's all you need. Days turn into weeks, and as you move through the motions of life, the weight of your divine revelation becomes heavier. There's an undeniable pull inside you, a force greater than yourself guiding you, whispering truths that stir something deep within your soul. You feel it now, clearer than ever. You've been chosen for something far bigger than the life you've known. But this realization comes with a price. You can no longer deny it. The world you've been trying so hard to fit into, the one that used to offer a sense of security, feels foreign now. The friends you once considered close, the places you used to go to find comfort, they don't feel right anymore. It's as if you've outgrown them, but the process isn't painless. The more you step into your calling, the more you feel like an outsider, even among the people who've been by your side for years. And that's when the tension begins. People start to notice. They can't quite put their finger on it, but they feel the shift. Your friends ask questions. Why have you been so distant lately? Are you sure everything is okay? You try to explain, but it's hard. How do you explain that you're being led to a life that doesn't fit the one you've been living? How do you explain that the person you were is no longer the person you are becoming? The more you try to hold on to the past, the more it slips through your fingers. It feels like betrayal, like you're letting go of something precious. But deep down, you know you can't hold on forever. The friendships that once brought you joy now bring you discomfort. The conversations that used to be easy now feel like a weight on your shoulders. You start avoiding the calls, the texts, the invitations. You don't know how to explain to them that you can't stay where you are anymore. And when you do try to explain, when you open up about the divine pull you've been feeling, they look at you with confusion, with concern. What do you mean you're not happy?
You have everything you need, they say. And you wish you could explain it to them. You wish you could make them understand that it's not about happiness, it's about purpose. But the more you try to make them see, the more you realize that they can't. And that's when the feelings of betrayal start to creep in. You've been loyal to these people, to these friendships, but now it feels like you're betraying them. You're stepping into something they can't follow. You've changed, and you don't fit into their world anymore. And it hurts. It hurts more than you ever thought it would. The people who were once your anchors now feel like weights, dragging you down with their expectations and their confusion. You start to doubt yourself. Maybe I'm being selfish, you think. Maybe I should just go back to the way things were. But then you remember, this is why God pulled you away from the crowd in the first place. You weren't meant to stay in that space. You were meant to grow, to evolve, to step into something greater. And with that realization, the tension grows. The harder you try to go back, the further you feel from your true self. It's like you're in a tug of war, being pulled in two directions. One side calls you back to the familiar, to the life you've always known, while the other side calls you forward, to the unknown, to your purpose. The tension is unbearable at times, and you feel torn. It's not just the people in your life that are making it hard. It's your own fears, your doubts, your insecurities. What if you're not strong enough for this? What if you're not ready for the responsibility that's about to come? What if you fail? These questions echo in your mind, louder than ever before. But you're starting to understand something. The tension you feel isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you're being tested. The universe, God, is preparing you for what's ahead. And this is the part of the process where you need to let go of the old in order to step into the new. This is the breaking point. The point where you have to choose. Do you continue to stay in your comfort zone, clinging to what's familiar but suffocating? Or do you step out, trust in God's plan, and embrace the journey ahead? The choice isn't easy. It never is. But you know, deep down, that the only way forward is through. You can't stay here anymore. The person you were is no longer enough for the person you're becoming. And even though it's painful, even though you don't know exactly what's coming next, you know you have to trust the process. You know you have to trust God. The more you surrender, the more the tension begins to ease. It's not immediate, and it's not painless, but you start to feel the burden lift. You start to feel lighter, more in tune with the divine plan that's unfolding around you. The fear and doubt still linger, but they no longer control you. Instead, you embrace the discomfort, knowing that it's part of your transformation. You're becoming who you were always meant to be, and it's not going to be easy. But you've never been more certain of your path. The world may not understand you right now. The people you love may not understand you right now. But you know this is your journey, and you're ready to walk it, no matter where it leads. You've been chosen for this, and that knowledge gives you the strength to keep moving forward. The days stretch on, but something is changing inside you. The tension that once weighed you down is slowly beginning to lift, and for the first time in what feels like forever, you start to feel a glimmer of peace. It's not the kind of peace that comes from the absence of problems, but the kind that comes when you accept the truth, when you stop fighting what's meant to be. And then, it happens. A moment of divine clarity that hits you like a bolt of lightning, and everything you've been struggling to understand suddenly makes sense. It's not just a small revelation, it's a truth that shifts everything. You've been chosen. And the reason you felt so disconnected, so isolated, wasn't just because you were misunderstood by those around you. It was because you were being prepared. God pulled you away from the crowd not because you were unworthy, but because your journey is meant to be different. Your purpose cannot be fulfilled in the midst of distractions, in the noise of the world, or in the expectations of others. You have been set apart for a reason, and as this truth sinks in, you begin to realize that the path ahead will be unlike anything you could have imagined. This moment of clarity is both humbling and terrifying. The weight of it all presses on your chest, and for a moment, you almost wish you could go back to the life you once knew, to the comfort of ignorance.
But you know that's not an option. The truth is, you've already stepped into something much bigger than yourself. And as the pieces of your life fall into place, you understand that your purpose isn't just about you. It's about something far greater, something that will affect the lives of those around you. The struggles you faced, the pain, the isolation, the betrayal, none of it was random. It was all part of God's plan. Everything you've endured has been to prepare you for this very moment, for the calling that's been waiting for you. And it's not a calling you can walk away from. You're being asked to walk in a direction that most people won't understand. They won't see what you see. They won't feel what you feel. And at times you'll feel like you're walking alone. But that's the price of your purpose. You've been pulled away from the crowd, not to be abandoned, but to be refined, to be prepared for what lies ahead. And as you sit with this revelation, you begin to understand the significance of it all. This isn't just about you finding peace or purpose for yourself. It's about you being a vessel, a light for others who are walking in darkness. It's about being the person who steps up when no one else will. The one who carries the weight of truth when everyone else is too afraid to face it. Your path is one of leadership, of guidance, of being a beacon of light in a world that desperately needs it. And it's going to be hard. There will be moments when the weight of it all feels unbearable. There will be times when you feel like you've lost everything, when it feels like you're standing alone, staring into the unknown. But even in those moments, you'll remember this. You've been chosen, and God's hand is with you, even when it feels like you're walking in the dark. As the days go by, you start to notice the changes in your life. The relationships that once felt suffocating, that drained you, slowly fade away. People who didn't understand your purpose, who tried to hold you back, begin to fall away. And in their place, new people begin to emerge. People who get it. People who understand the journey you're on, who support your calling. It's not that they're perfect, but they're aligned with your purpose. And that's when you realize that this period of separation wasn't about cutting people out. It was about making space for those who are meant to walk with you. The shift is subtle at first. It's like a fog, slowly lifting, revealing a clearer path ahead. You begin to feel a sense of freedom that you haven't felt in years. The weight of other people's expectations, the pressure to fit in, begins to dissipate. And in its place comes a profound sense of peace. You finally stepped into who you were always meant to be. And with that comes a new sense of responsibility. The power of your purpose is no longer a distant thought. It's real. And as you walk this path, you begin to see the impact you're having on those around you. It's not about grand gestures or loud proclamations. It's in the quiet moments, in the simple acts of kindness, in the way you carry yourself with a calm certainty. People begin to notice. They see the peace in you, the clarity in your eyes, and they wonder what's different. They may not understand it fully, but they feel it. And that's when you realize that your journey is not just about you. It's about showing others the way. It's about leading by example, by living the truth, and by walking the path God has set before you, even when it's hard. And as you stand on the edge of this new chapter in your life, you feel a deep sense of gratitude. Gratitude for the journey that's brought you here. Gratitude for the challenges that have shaped you, and most importantly, gratitude for the divine call that has pulled you away from the crowd and into your true purpose. This is just the beginning.
And while the road ahead may not always be easy, you know you're not walking it alone. God is with you, guiding you every step of the way, and you are exactly where you're meant to be. As you step into this new season of your life, remember this: you are not alone, and you were never meant to fit in. You were always meant to stand apart, to rise above the noise, and to embrace the purpose that's been waiting for you. The road ahead may not always be clear, and there will be moments of doubt, fear, and pain. But trust in the process. Trust that God has been with you every step of the way, pulling you out of the crowd for a reason. You were chosen for this, and the journey you're on is just beginning. So walk with confidence, chosen one.
Let go of the past, the people and the things that no longer serve your purpose. Trust that the best is yet to come, and that everything you've been through has been preparing you for the greatness that lies ahead. Your purpose is unique, and you are here for a reason. The world is waiting for you to show up, to be the light in the darkness, and to walk with purpose. This is your moment. This is your time. Embrace it. If this message resonated with you, share it with someone else who needs to hear it. Like, comment, and subscribe so we can continue this journey together. You are not alone. God is with you, and the best is yet to come. Stay aligned, stay focused, and know that you were chosen for this. Let's walk into the next chapter of our journey together.